going back to that, like we've lost as a society the like how to laugh at ourselves is pretty much like we take shit too seriously. People get too fucking offended, and it's all about intent, right? Like if I tell you, like, I don't know, you stupid motherfucker, like with anger,
right.
then that's, you know, you could feel that intent. But like, yeah, you're a stupid motherfucker. Like laughing and joking, then that's a different type of intent. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's not the words, but it's the intent behind it. And maybe because of social media, that people have lost that because they're not using the emojis. That's why I really don't like texting with people, because you can't tell the tone behind it. And emojis, I don't know, sometimes if it's a serious conversation, like emojis kind of just take away from it. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to be, you know what I mean? So it's just understanding that new language barrier with texting or just in social media in general. And also, I was watching something on Netflix the other day. Do you remember that thing was called swatting?
Mm-mm.
So swatting was a bunch of gamers. You ever gamed online?
Not really, but I was in the military. There were some cats,
But I remember some of the conversations and like the way some people would get like angry with like talking to other people, like so much so that I would mute the other people because it was just little kids like talking shit. You know, sometimes I was drinking, I would get engaged with them, like fuck you, whatever. And then after a while, I was like, what am I doing? But with that, to kind of go into that's kind of like a different form of like social media. It's like a different community. But with that, like, so what started happening with the gamers, they started to call like in threats, or like, so they would find the person's either IP address or whatever, and then they would call the cops on them saying like, hey, like, and sometimes they would get as deep as, I just shot my dad, and I'm here with the gun. So like, of course, SWAT's showing up.
I did hear about this shit.
Yeah. So with that, it's that it starts off with this miscommunication because people aren't held accountable for their actions. You know what I mean? And it's just like you're behind this laptop typing and like, oh yeah, but if you were like me and you, right? If I was like, tell you like, I don't know, whatever to offend you, we're probably going to, fight or whatever, eventually if it gets to that.
Right.
I mean, granted, I'm older. I try to like de-escalate, you know what I mean? I'll go at it, but at the same time, I've learned we could de-escalate the situation. It's probably a misunderstanding. But with that, if you take away that accountability and like that direct, interaction, then you just have a bunch of fucking, laptop, typing tough guys.
Got all Twitter muscles, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But
it's funny. And you bring up a great point too of our generation of folk. Like, how old are you right now?
42. It's gonna be 43 in July.
So we're not too far off, right? So we were part of this, and one of my favorite comedians, Nate Bargatze.
Oh, dude, I like that guy.
He talks about. He's about our age. I think he's about your age, and he has a great bit about Zennials. So basically, we don't identify as millennials, but we also don't. There's no way we identify as Gen Xers, but we're this weird in between. I talk to Chelsea about this all the time, and she's a little younger. She's 33, so smack dab into the millennials category. But when we were kids, right, graduating around the 2000 time frame, well, we remember there were consequences for everything that you did. You went out and there was. I mean, not that I got in fights because I didn't, but like playing baseball through my entire life, there are consequences for your actions when you're on the field and no one else can see you. You truly had to go out and be careful on your own, or you didn't, and nobody gave a fuck.
Right.
You came back with a bruise, you came back with a black eye or whatever. All right, it wasn't on the internet.
Right.
You went out and said something to somebody that, okay.
Yep.
And then after that, late 90s, early 2000s, then we had technology come out. And then us as the weirdos who transitioned from the non-information age playing Oregon Trail on some fucking apples into now all of a sudden we got iPhones and fucking access to everybody and everything and every bit of information. Like Dewey Decimal System was gone, bro. Like now all of a sudden people can Google and WebMD all their problems and all this kind of shit. So suddenly they become way smarter with none of the situational awareness that you grow with the military. And that's us. And I think that's so interesting is there's the nuance. Doesn't have to be any nuance anymore to conversations. It's just fuck you, whatever I'm going to say, or positive. And what happens with that, and I've seen that at the gym over a long period of time of having younger and younger people, or at least I'm just getting older. I should probably say that.
Right.
I'm just getting older. Is there's a lack of assumption of positive intent with people. People think that everybody pays the fuck attention to them now. But what it is like nobody really gives a fuck. Nobody really cares.
Right.
Really, you should care about yourself, and that's it, and how you put yourself in the world. But when you have a lack of positive intent or the assumption of positive intent, then you get road rage. You get a bunch of people being angry all the time on video games. Well, what do you mean by that, bitch? Like, what?
Yeah.
They don't even say that though. They just take it and they'll run with it. And I think that's where that narcissism starts. In a lot of ways that we were talking about earlier, is people don't just think. Well, they think they're really important and people give a shit. And nobody does.
Yeah.
And that's scary too, when you actually start to think about it.
Right.
Because, you're thinking your thoughts, I'm thinking my thoughts, and I'm talking, you're talking. But we're individual people. But so many people like take that into the world and just become angry, because I think the realization is they are fucking alone. And so they take that lack of situational awareness and the lack of experience out in the world, and they take it out on other people because they're miserable fucks.
Yeah. And with that, like and that's what that breeds, right? Being online is because you're part of a social network, right? It's a virtual network, and people mistake that for their reality, because that's how they engage. That's how that's what's being I don't want to say glamorized. That's like you see these influencers that pretend that they are making all this money. They go on a set of a fucking jet or something, and they take all these badass pictures, but really in reality it's just a set. Yeah. And then they're like, influence all these people like, I need to be that, I need to be this, and because they have, we're going back to followers, these millions of followers, and it's just setting every young person up that's growing up in this world with already like they're behind the curve. It's like and this influencer is only like 20 years old, but they're really fucking lying to everyone.
Yeah, when you bring up a great point of the snapshot of the thing that you might see right then. Right. And even if that person is an absolute baller and they're the most interesting person, smartest person in the world, it's only a snapshot. It doesn't show you the 30 years they took at grinding as a poor person, or maybe as an enlisted cat in the Air Force, or as a single mom, and then it's just like scratching and clawing and scratching and clawing. Like CrossFit athletes are very, very similar. You see these big badass bastards and ladies who are all badasses in their own right. And then I get an athlete, it's like, I'm not them.
Yeah.
And I go, no shit. I was like, you didn't put the work in. Yeah. So everybody wants everything right now. And that's a very difficult thing. And that's why, going back to worldly experiences, when you only see what's on the screen, you don't like look up and you go, hey, I'm in fucking, Argentina right now, seeing how other people live. I got some other ideas that I think everybody should at least have to do something out of high school. Out of high school that is bigger than themselves. It doesn't have to be the military, because not everybody's built for the military, but I think you should have to give back for a couple of years. Go Peace Corps. I don't care what it is, but give back and learn that just your mom's basement isn't the thing. And I know that's not always the case with people, but your little limited scope is not the world.
Right.
Your limited scope is only as good as the algorithms on Facebook allow you to see, right? Like that's it. And I think there should be something giving back. And I think I'll never get elected to shit, but like when you don't force it, people are going to take the easier road. They're not going to do the hard shit anymore. And I think like Idiocracy and some of these other movies that are like,
that movie stands like, y'all haven't seen Idiocracy, go check it out. It definitely, like I saw that like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, whenever it came out. And I was like, that'd be wild. Fast forward, it's fucking here.
I love it. That'd be wild, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be. But I mean.
Oh, it's true. That's 100% true.
Yeah, nowadays. And yeah, I'm wondering who and if The Rock, I've heard like some talks about like him like running for president,
right.
Whether it's true or not, whether you want to vote for him or whatever, that would kind of like fulfill the prophecy of Idiocracy, like a wrestler in charge. Right.
If you want to play tough and want to hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take